Turning to campaign 2016, we have new Battleground Tracker numbers from 3 key states, starting with Florida. Hillary Clinton leads Donald Trump by 5 points, 45 to 40%. Georgia is traditionally a red state, but at this point in the campaign, it's closer than usual. Hillary Clinton is down just 4 points. You'd expect her to be down by more. Donald Trump is at 45 and Clinton at 41. And New Hampshire seems to be moving towards the blue column. Hillary Clinton now leads Donald Trump 45 to 36. There are only 85 days left until the election, so we turn to CBS News Director of Elections, Anthony Salvanto. Anthony, give us a sense of your feeling about the overall picture of the election right now.
When you look across all the states, John, Hillary Clinton now has a big enough lead in enough of these battleground states that if she can hold it in fall, and that's an if, then she's in position to get elected, to win. You know, what you see in battleground after battleground now, and New Hampshire is a perfect example. We add that to Virginia like we saw last week, where we do these polls and we expect them to be close because they're always close, and she's got this big edge. And, you know, if she holds it in the fall, we may not actually call them battlegrounds anymore. For Donald Trump, what this sets up for him is he doesn't have to just flip a close state here and there in order to win. He now has to actually actively go out and reverse big leads in a lot of states in order to be in position for him to win come the fall.
So it's a steeper climb for him in these traditional states, or if they fall off contention altogether, that means his path to victory is really narrow.
It's really narrow, and I'll give you an example out of New Hampshire of just how tough this looks from here. Okay, so we asked people who aren't voting for Donald Trump, would you consider voting for him? And among women, with whom he's down almost 20 points anyway, women who are not voting for him, the number who say yes, they would consider it is 0. And the number who say maybe is 9%. So if you're at 0 in the number of people who will consider you going forward, that just emphasizes what a tough hill it is.
And so what's his big challenge, Donald Trump's big challenge right now in the polls as you see it?
Well, he's got a couple. And one is he's behind schedule, if you will, in rallying his own base, his own partisans. There's Republicans who've fallen away. They haven't all shifted en masse to Hillary Clinton. They're more undecided, unsure. But he is in the mid-70s, about 70-odd% among Republicans, whereas you compare that to Hillary Clinton, who's up, for example, in New Hampshire at 93% of Democrats. So in a very partisan environment anyway, you have to get in the 90s with your base. So that just emphasizes one key challenge.
So just this week, the conversation was Donald Trump and heartburn in Republican ranks. Your poll numbers seem to suggest that's showing up in the regular old people in terms of not sticking with him.
Yes, and you know, it's so different from the primaries because in the primaries, the voters said they didn't care what Republicans leaders said and did about Donald Trump. But here you've got a much larger electorate that tells you in the polls that they do care somewhat.
What's his other challenge?
You know, he's got, when you look at the number of people who are willing to swing, who are going back and forth, it's very small. It's still very small because those undecideds have at this point shifted to Hillary Clinton. In fact, here's another small number for you. The number of folks who say that they feel like they have two good choices in this race is 1%. Now, that's not to say Hillary Clinton isn't without some issues of her own. In fact, if I told you a couple of months ago that she'd be trailing Donald Trump in some of these states on ability to fix the economy, on honest and trustworthy, you might say she'd be trailing. But in fact, it's these honest and it's these judgment and temperament questions that Trump has been facing. They're showing up in the polls, and that in particular is what's weighing him down.
So while Hillary Clinton has lots of weakness, voters are picking temperament as the thing that for them right now, and it's hurting Donald Trump, that's the thing that's guiding their vote the most.
Exactly. You know, you've got 7 in 10 folks in Florida, for example, who feel like he does not have the judgment and temperament to be president. And that's really serving as an anchor on him. And Hillary Clinton is also beating him there, as she has been, on the commander-in-chief test. So that's where the campaign has gone. When you see those other metrics, like fixing the economy, you see in some sense for Donald Trump the campaign that might have been, or that might still be, if he were to shift the focus to emphasize on those issues. But as long as it's on that temperament and judgment, that's what's become an anchor for him.
Final question is, this week Donald Trump said some exciting things, then said, I was kidding. How are they parsing his more incendiary comments?
Well, we asked about that, and most of them feel it's irresponsible. There's only a minority that feel like he's joking, and among his supporters, they say they think he's telling it like it is. But that's only 20-odd%. And so when you see a majority saying that they feel like those are irresponsible comments, that he's not joking, that then goes to that judgment and temperament metric that's become such the emphasis here.
All right, Anthony Salvanto, thanks as always. We'll see you again real soon.
Thanks, Joe.